First off, big shout out to my boy Henry Mahoney for putting together a playoff predictor using next season's schedule for me to be able to even make this video before everyone else. So, literally didn't ask for it, and he just went and did it. So, big shout out to you, Henry. Thanks for that. And then also, you guys like the new intro? You like the new intro? Tell me what you think down below. What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my official 2021 NFL season predictions. We're past free agency. We're past the draft. I've taken a look at that leaked schedule that's been going around and made my official predictions. Are we going to disagree? Yes, of course, but that's the fun in this. So yeah, if you guys have different opinions, let me know down below what you think is going to happen. And without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the AFC West, pretty similar. Might even be exactly what I predicted last time. Or not exactly, but it's pretty close. Chiefs coming in at 15-2, winning the conference, as you can see by that Z there. You know, they were already such a super good team, obviously, you know, Mahomes. They went and upgraded their offensive line big time. Their defense only got better. They added some great players. So I think, you know, this team, very, very good team, and I see them being dominant once again this year. The Chargers at 12-5 and making a playoff spot. I think the Chargers are an extremely talented team. You know, the biggest weaknesses, you know, heading into the draft was the offensive line, linebacker, and corner, and they addressed all three needs there. You know, got Rashawn Slater, got a heck of a pick in Asante Samuel. I think it was a great draft by them, and I think they'll be a very solid 12, maybe even 13-win team. I think they'll be very good and make a playoff spot, especially if Justin Herbert remains even near as good as he was last year. Then you have the Broncos at 10-7. If you took away the quarterback position from every single team, I believe this would be the best team in football. What really is holding them back at this point is Drew Lock. And, you know, it's kind of seeming to it's starting to seem like that Aaron Rodgers talk was really just a lot of fake stuff made up by Adam Schefter. In this case, with Drew Lock, I think he can take that next step. I don't know if he's going to be that good next year, which is ultimately what keeps him out of the playoffs here, but still a great record, obviously, with 10-7. It's a very bright team looking for the future. You know, there's a reason the Broncos passed on Justin Fields, and they're extremely confident in Drew Lock, and so we'll have to see. This is his first year he's ever had consistent playbooks and coordinators. Everyone's going to be back healthy. You know, he'll have a normal offseason for once. So I like the upside on this team, and they have a bright future. And then the Raiders at 3-14. I don't understand why people like this team so much. Like Derek Carr, his offensive line just got completely worse, so he's going to be running for his life now, probably going to get injured at some point. They have a nice running back duo there, obviously, but you can't run. It's the same reason I don't think Najee Harris is going to be extremely good for the Steelers, because every running back needs an offensive line, and the Raiders do not have one. Their defense is still really bad. I don't think their pass rush is instantly just better just because they added Yannick Ngakoue. Yeah, this team, it's very bad. I don't understand why people like it so much. John Gruden's a fine head coach, but like they make very poor decisions. They make stupid decisions, and I think that's going to lead to a very bad season this year for the Raiders. So then moving on to the AFC South, I have the Titans at 12-5, making the playoffs, winning their division, obviously. Yeah, I think they upgraded pass rush and really downgraded at secondary. Now, their secondary has a lot of upside and a lot of future potential, but that's future potential, not this year. I think you kind of changed around your strengths on the defense, and your offense basically stayed the same. So I predicted pretty much a very similar record here for the Titans, 12-5, still a playoff spot. The Colts I also predict to be very similar. You know, obviously with a much improved pass rush, that defense will be a lot better. However, I don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be just back to MVP form all of a sudden just because he's on a different team. Better offensive line? Yes. But that left tackle is still a pretty big hole. Their receiving unit is still pretty bad. And I just don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be that guy this year. So I'm predicting a pretty similar season from the Colts, if not worse, like here with 10-7. Jaguars at 4-13. I definitely think they can have a better season than this. On paper, they're a much, much better team than last year. Have some very solid players. I just think they're such a young team, very inexperienced, new coach. I think they'll still be probably like a top 5 pick this year. Better, but not that much better. And then the Texans coming here at 116. Spoiler alert, they get the number 1 overall pick. This team is absolutely horrendous. I mean, not only do they have, like, you know, they had probably the worst draft, one of the worst drafts this year, one of the worst free agencies easily. You're not going to have Deshaun Watson playing for you regardless of whether he's on the roster next year or not. The only good players on this team are Brandon Cooks and Laramie Tunsil. That's literally it. Maybe if you want to try to some reason, tell me Bradley Roby or, you know, Duke Johnson are good players, go ahead, I guess. This is an extremely, extremely bad and poor team. They might go 0-17, honestly. They are a bad team, so I see them easily coming in 1-16 here. Then on the AFC East, we have the Bills, 15-2, but not winning the conference. I think the Bills play the Chiefs this year, and I have the Chiefs beating the Bills in that game to take the conference. Regardless, at 15-2, still a very good team, obviously. You know, very dominant. I expect a great season from them. Patriots at 12-5. I'm seeing a lot of hate on this team, but you guys, you have to understand. Sure, Cam Newton is not the answer. He's not a good quarterback. Look at what Bill Belichick did last year with a still injured, coming off of an injury Cam Newton, a team that completely just opted out, was dealing with injuries. I mean, look at how they upgraded this year in the draft and free agency. They got Mac Jones to be their future quarterback. Like, I don't think he's going to be starting this year, and if he is, it's not going to be till the latter part of the year. This is a super, super, super talented team, and you're forgetting who the head coach is. The Patriots are going to be back this year. I think the playoffs is not a stretch at all, and I think 12-5 is a very appropriate record for really a very good team. Dolphins at 9-8. This is a pick that I see a lot of people hating on, to have the Dolphins at 9-8. And I know a lot of people are going to hate this. They're way too raw still. I don't think Tua's a good quarterback. Personally, I don't think he's ever going to be a good quarterback. Their running back room is still very poor, so they still have no running game. Wide receiver, much upgraded, obviously. Offensive line, upgraded a good amount, not Penei Sewell upgrade, but upgraded. In the defense, they got a few good players, but I just don't think they're a double-digit win team. Again, I just don't like Tua. I feel like there's still too many holes on the team. They're very young and have a very, very bright future, but I just don't feel like that's this year. And so they have a very tough schedule as well, playing in a very tough division. So, you know, it's just, it is what it is. And then the Jets at 7-10. Again, probably, I mean, this entire division as a whole, besides the Bills pick, is probably controversial. But the Jets are secretly a good team. I think Zach Wilson's going to be a fantastic quarterback. I love Michael Carter as their running back of the future there. The receiving unit is very underrated. You know, the offensive line got a bit better, and I still think it's not the best, obviously, but it's pretty good. The defense, though, I mean, Quinnen Williams, the dude, I cannot pronounce his name right now, but their defensive tackle, one of the better run defenders in football. I mean, they got Carl Lawson. They added some great pieces on that defense to where obviously they're not like a great team here, but I think they're a lot better than people are predicting them to go. So another year or two, and they could be potentially a playoff team. This is a very good team, again, with a very bright future. This is a very good division. I mean, it just went from maybe the worst division of football to maybe the best. So, you know, it's a very tough division. Obviously, I'm not saying it's better than the NFC West, and it wasn't worse than the NFC East, but you know what I'm saying. Then the NFC North, I have the Browns at 14-3, not winning the conference, but I still think this is going to be a very, very, very good Browns team. Again, I do not understand why people are sleeping on them. Quarterback, check. Running back 1 and 2, check. Wide receiver, check. Tight end 1 and 2, check. Offensive line, check. Defensive line, check. Linebacker, check. Corner, check. Safety, check. Like, maybe you can make an argument for defensive tackle, but even then they picked up Marvin Wilson in undrafted free agency, and if he returns to 2019 form, they've got another great playmaker on that defense. Like, this team has no holes, arguably one, and that's the defensive tackle position. Sure, they're a little bit young, but that means they're only getting better, and I think this is their year to really show out and be like, yeah, that was not a fluke. we are the Cleveland Browns. Like, this is a very, very good team, and I expect them to be very, very good. So then the Ravens coming at 13-4, right behind the Browns. Ultimately, I think they're going to lose this division to the Browns because I think the Browns are going to probably beat them in both their games, which I know is maybe a bit of a stretch to some people, but the Ravens are a very talented team. Don't get me wrong. They're 13-4 here. I just still don't think they're as good as the Browns. Lamar Jackson, I feel like, is at his ceiling as a quarterback right now. I don't feel he's really going to get any better than he is. Running back room, stacked. Wide receiver room, very good. The offensive line still needs a bit of work. They have a big hole at that one guard position, but, on the defense, again, very good. I just think they're a really old team besides a few players, and they're experienced. They'll be a good team. They'll make the playoffs. I just don't see them being better than the Browns. And maybe the hottest take in the video, Steelers at 7-10 once again. I got a bunch of angry Steelers fans, and I'm sorry, I'm sticking with this pick. Like, you guys were a 12-4 team last year when your offense was at least mediocre for the most part. And then as soon as the wild card game, you saw exactly the problems with that team. Big Ben is way past his prime. The receiving unit didn't get any worse, but it didn't get any better. It's great and young, but it's not fantastic. The offensive line is horrible. I mean, at least you had Villanueva last year. Now you don't even have him. I mean, your starting offensive line is Zach Banner, Kendrick Green, who knows who's starting at center, David DeCastro and Okorafor. That's a very, very, very bad offensive line for a very immobile and old and not good quarterback. Not to mention, like I said earlier, I don't think Najee Harris is going to be that impactful year one because every running back needs an offensive line. I don't care who you are. Even the Titans have one of the better offensive lines in football for Derrick Henry. Like, no running back is just good without an offensive line. So I just think while the defense is still going to be great, the defense did downgrade big time. I love the upside in some of their outside linebackers, but losing Bud Dupree is a big hurtful loss for the Steelers. Losing Mike Hilton was a big hurtful loss. They downgraded at defense and definitely downgraded at offense. I just don't see any reason why this team's going to be competitive this year. They'll be in a lot of close games, I think, but their offense is not good enough to win them. I'm sticking by this pick. I don't think the Steelers are going to be even close to as good as they were last year. So, and then the Bengals at 4-13. I really, really want to make them better than this. I want to put them higher, but I just don't think it's that time yet. I love the offense. Especially if Joe Burrow can stay healthy now. But you really didn't upgrade the O-line. I don't think Jackson Carman's that good of an upgrade. Receiving unit is one of the best in football. Running back, Joe Mixon's fine. But again, the offensive line, I think, is a big struggle. And the defense needs a lot of help. The emergence of Jesse Bates was great, but then you went and lost William Jackson, and that really hurt. Even though he wasn't playing good, Geno Atkins is gone. So the defense, Carl Lawson's gone. The defense is in a lot of trouble right now, and I think that they really needed to focus on the offensive line, and they didn't. So I want to put them better. I just don't think they're going to be any better than this. Then moving on to the NFC West. This is such a shocker, but all 4 teams making the playoffs, and yet not a single one wins the conference. I think the Cardinals are going to come out on top in this very, very good division. Even at the Seahawks, they're 9-8. I mean, it's just very tough. All 4 of these teams have a super tough schedule. I think out of all of them, the best is the Cardinals, though. I mean, I love Kyler Murray. He's one of my, MVP players next year in the running. I really love the offense. Wide receiver is a great position for them now. The offensive line got a lot better. Because DJ Humphries had his best season yet last year. I loved the addition of Brian Winters. Rodney Hudson was just a hell of a steal for them in that trade. I like the upside on Josh Jones and the defense. I mean, adding guys like, JJ Watt, and I think switching the scheme was a good choice. That's a very scary team. I think they're going to put up some serious competition this year, and I think especially after the draft, that solidified it for me. So I really like the Cardinals here at number 1. Then the Rams at 11-6. I would like them to go a lot better than this, but it's just such a tough schedule and it's such a tough division that this is a good record. I think they'll still be great. I think they do have a few holes. I don't think the defense is going to be as good. It's going to be great, obviously, but it's not going to be as good. Probably not number one again next year. And I really like Matthew Stafford, but I don't know if he's going to get it year one for the Rams. So I like him here at 2. 49ers at 10-7, but still making the playoffs. Very talented team. I think Trey Lance is going to take at least a year or two to start. So you're going to still have Jimmy G, which is going to cost you a few games more than likely. Defense is healthy, obviously, but they lost Richard Sherman, which was a big loss for them. I think they'll be good, better than last year for sure, but I don't think they're going to be that much better this year. Come year 2, year 3, under the Trey Lance resume, and then you can start looking at potentially taking this division, Niners fans. And then the Seahawks at 9-8. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this again, but it's just such a tough schedule and such a tough division. They still make the playoffs, to be fair, but it's just such a tough division. And, the Seahawks, their defense is still not good. A lot of Seahawks fans try to defend it and say, like, oh, we were getting better last year and stuff, but no, you weren't. I'm sorry. Your defense is still really bad. You lost Shaquille Griffin. You lost KJ Wright, who was secretly one of those playmakers for you guys. Bobby Wagner's starting to look like he's almost declining a bit. And I feel like you really should have gotten out and gotten Russell Wilson some O-line help, and instead they just got a bunch of receivers. So build your team the way you want, I guess. I think it's going to result in a 9-8 record in the toughest division in football, so good for you. Then the NFC South, Buccaneers easily winning this division at 15-2, also taking the conference while at it. They're going to be dominant again next year, obviously. I don't know if that's going to repeat in the postseason. You'll have to stay tuned for that in my next video, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. But they're still a very good team, obviously, and they only upgraded in the draft, getting guys, even though I don't like the pick that much, Joe Tryon and some other guys, still definitely upgraded. Receiving unit is maybe the best in football, probably the best in football, especially with Jalen Darden now. I don't see any reason why they're going to get any worse. If anything, I think they'll be better because they have it put together by the start of the season. So yeah, Bucks 15-2. Saints at 8-9. It's painful. It's tough, but I don't know how I feel about anyone other than Drew Brees starting in that offense. Receiving unit is pretty bad. Alvin Kamara can only do so much. Offensive line still great, obviously. They lost a lot of key players on the defense, like a lot. Marshawn Lattimore is gone. David Onyemata is gone. The other defensive tackle I can't think of is gone. Trey Hendrickson is gone. I still think they'll be a competitive team, but again, one of the tougher schedules next year, and I just don't see them being nearly as good next year. They were already kind of not a bad team, but just mediocre, even with all those players last year. So now that they've lost them all, I think that's going to be about an 8-9 record for the Saints. Falcons at 5-12. They upgraded, but the defense is still so horrible. I mean, the offense is explosive. That's going to win them those 5 games alone, but every single game is going to be a shootout with them. And I think they're going to lose a lot because that defense is just so freaking bad. And, I think they have a very bright future. But the quarterback position faces a bit of uncertainty. I feel like Matt Ryan's been declining a bit lately. So, I think 5-12 just feels right for this team. And then the Panthers at 5-12 as well. Very talented team, very, very bright future, but Sam Darnold, we'll have to see how he works out year one in the Panthers offense. Really love their offense as a whole right now. I mean, really, really good. The offensive line needs a bit of work, of course, but defense also very good as well. I just don't think they're ready to take that step yet this year, but I think maybe another year, and they, again, could be a playoff team. Very, very bright future there in Carolina. Then the NFC East, I have Washington going 11-6. Just like the Broncos and the Patriots, it's like a 3-way tie of take away the quarterback position and they have the best team in football. Although, between Cam Newton, Drew Lock, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think I'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, they don't have Bill Belichick as a coach, obviously, so they're not going to be as good as the Patriots, I don't believe. I still think they're going to be a very solid team, taking the division. I think they'll be a playoff team, obviously, winning the division once again. And it's not even because they went 7-9 this year. I think they have a playoff-worthy record. So I really like Washington. Again, very bright future. And as soon as they get that quarterback, it's going to be a scary team. Cowboys at 6-11. I want to give them higher. I also want to give them lower. But I feel like this is about right for the Cowboys. Same offense, getting Dak back, obviously. Defense is exactly the same. I mean, you picked up a safety, so good for you. That's about it. So I think this defense is going to remain very poor. I still don't like Mike McCarthy as a head coach, and the offense is going to be about the same, probably better, a little bit better. 6-11 just feels right for this Cowboys team. So then the Giants at 4-13, really want to give them higher. Once again, just too many holes. I don't know if I trust Danny Amendola. That's a name. Danny Dimes to really go anywhere this year. I don't think he's going to take that step or anything. I don't think he's the future. And because of that, I don't think guys like Kenny Golladay are going to make as much of an impact as people think. I think having Saquon's going to be back is going to be nice, but once again, that offensive line is still pretty poor besides their tackle positions. The defense, really some really nice pieces, but still just lacking that elite level. And I think put it all together and you have a nice 4-13 mess, and probably once again one of the worst divisions in football. And then the Eagles at 2-15. Eagles fans are going to be flocking over to hate on this. And your team sucks. What else do you want me to say? I really like Jalen Hurts as the future, except the Eagles obviously don't. Jamie. Wow. Jamie. Newman. Jamie Newman. But beyond the quarterback position, I mean, you upgraded a wide receiver if Devontae Smith stays healthy, so that's good. You upgraded O-line if Landon Dickerson stays healthy. I never liked Miles Sanders. I mean, the defense, great pieces, but still pretty poor. I mean, if they played the way they did last year, why are they going to play any better this year? With, in my opinion, a far, far worse head coach in Sirianni over Peterson? No idea. I think Sirianni is a puppet on strings for Howie Roseman. And if anything, he's an offensive-minded coach that's not going to call plays because he never has called plays. I didn't get the coach signing. I don't get the moves. This is a very, very, very bad team. The future doesn't even look bright in Philly. I'm sorry, Eagles fans. Your team sucks. And then with our last division, the NFC North now, a lot of people are going to riot. But I think with the way that things stands with Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he's going to be traded at this point, but I also don't think he's going to play. Before we get to the Packers, though, Bears winning the division at 10-7. They turned around this team like a snap with trading up for Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins, getting a rock at the tackle position and a very, very high upside guy in Justin Fields. Allen Robinson's probably going to want to stay now that they actually upgraded the team for once. Defense still looks very good besides corner. They're a 10-7 team, obviously, so I'm not saying they're going to be great, but I think they win this division because now that we move on to the Packers, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play next year. Whether he retires or just sits out, I don't think he's going to play. I don't think it's likely they trade him anymore at this point either. I don't think the Packers really believe in Aaron Rodgers, and I think they're really just looking to make Jordan Love their starter as soon as possible. And in that case, Rodgers doesn't like that, and I don't think he's going to play for him. And I think what they're going to realize very quickly is that this team has been carried by Rodgers for a while now. I mean, Devontae Adams, great receiver, but he's only looked that great because he has Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, in my opinion. Their offensive line downgraded big time. The draft was once again a horrible draft by the Packers. Defense only got worse. It didn't upgrade for sure. And I think without Aaron Rodgers, this becomes a very poor team, just like we saw when he was hurt. And in this case, I don't think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I don't think he's ready to start, and that makes him even worse, in my opinion. So I think the most likely scenario at this point is probably Aaron Rodgers to sit out or retire next year. And in that case, I see the Packers as a 7-10 team. And right below them, the Vikings at 6-11. Again, I want to give them higher, but I just think the defense still needs a lot of work. Offense, I really like. I think Kirk Cousins is very underrated. I like Dalvin Cook. I love the receiving unit. I love the offense as a whole. It's just the defense that gives me issues. You really didn't get anyone to play across from Kwity Paye unless someone's just blanking my mind right now. They're getting healthy, obviously, but I still don't think that their defense is going to be as good as they used to be. Harrison Smith is getting pretty old, and corner position, they slapped Trey Waynes and Patrick Peterson on as a Band-Aid, and I don't think they're going to be good. So I'm looking at this Vikings team as pretty much the same exact team from last year, honestly. Maybe a few better players, maybe a few worse. And again, with the tough schedule, I just don't see him doing much better than 6-11. I can see him doing much better. I don't think they will be much better. And then with our last team of the video, Lions at 3-14. They got Jared Goff, downgrade. They got Penei Sewell, big upgrade. Love that move. They had actually a pretty good draft. I still don't like Jared Goff, especially on this team. I don't think the defense is anywhere near it needs to be. Pass rush is pretty good. Corner room sucks. Unless Jeff Okudah steps up out of nowhere. I think this is a team that, like normal, is going to be your 3-4, maybe 5-win team because they're the Lions. And I think regardless of what this team looks like, that's just always going to be their destiny to go about 3-14. Then if we're looking at our playoff teams, our seedings here, Chiefs at number 1 get the bye. Bills, Browns, Titans, Ravens, Chargers, Patriots. Very similar to when I last did this about a month ago. Then over on the right side is where it changes up pretty much. Buccaneers get the bye. Then you got Cardinals, Washington, Bears, Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks. That'll be in the next video with my playoff predictions, award predictions, and my Super Bowl prediction, as well as the draft order. If you guys want to see that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so you never miss an upload. Leave a like as well and comment down me your record predictions for next year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.